we have one more participant to join, but yet we will start. Let us not delay. It's already 6:37. More we delay, we may get late. So very good evening to our chair, Professor Dr. Uma Maheshwari, head and professor from the Department of Public Administration, University of Madras, the co-chair, Dr. Sabu Thomas, from University of Calicut, from the Department of Public Administration, Political Science. Very good evening to all the dear participants. We are here in the last, this is the last day of our presentation, the entire program. And I welcome you all for yet another wonderful session for the day. So as all of us know, the theme for today's topic is on the outcomes of public administration, the new outcomes in public administration policy research. So we are the ones being in the field or being in the discipline of public administration. We need to highlight the importance of policy and how it can influence the public administration, the role of public administration, I can say. So with the models, with the approaches that we have in policy science, what kind of refinement can we bring about in the new public administration and new public management? With these words, I would like to invite you all for today's session. And to begin with, I request our chair, Professor Dr. Uma Maheshwari, to address the entire participants with her remarks.
Good evening to one and all. It's very nice to be in the last day of
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, you have to be a little more loud, I guess.
1 minute. It's clear? And I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the volume okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think by mistake, she's got disconnected. Just a few minutes, she'll join us. Thank you, Dr. Anju. I have made a note of it. I'll announce the same. Hello, ma'am. Please unmute yourself, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's some again new to this tech. My son gave me some earbuds. The earphone I just took. Blink on. Anyway, sorry for that initial break. And it's again really happy to be with all of you. Good evening to my co-chair and the moderator, Dr. Savil Thomas sir and Dr. Neera Kumar, and all the dear participants who are eager to present the papers. Well, this celebration on the last day is to be, as academician, we realize that it is one of the important marks of academic profession to be consciously involved in advancement of knowledge in the subject that we are teaching, or the subject that is very been close to your thought process over the years. So we need to enhance the knowledge in this field through research, and conferences like this puts us together to share our thoughts and promote and facilitate and organize the thought. Because we do research, we do have ideas, but whether these ideas should be tested and proved to be on the right track, we need to justify it, we need to validate it, and such conferences are the ways and means in which we can checklist or check up whether these are on the proper track. And we know that in public administration in the 21st century, the administrative challenges are rising, and the government is in fact spending sort of money on really catering to the public needs. And so it really compels the theorists, compels the researchers to create a variety of theories, because we always test drive the existing theories, we disprove them. But at the end of it, when we do a research, we need to generate new theories and see that those theories provides a very substantive insights. One theory leading to another theory through a mode of our good research cross tools. So we need to foster excellence in research, analysis, and education. So public administration is just gives us scope to enhance our ability in doing research, to examine the pros and cons of the various activities in the government, and also educate ourselves on the very many facets of the subject of public administration and government policy. I think this is what is the possible outcome, because when you read journals, we see that there are a lot of statistical applications. The other day I was listening to one talk on tenor analysis, TNOR analysis, where they say that whether we have a pattern, because when we say that administration is producing, government is introducing a lot of schemes, and one state government is also introducing schemes, whether there is this pattern or there is a kind of a similarity between both the governments introducing the scheme, and whether there is some kind of, where do they find the similarity, at what stages. So we know we have to understand that we need to apply mathematical tools and rather statistical techniques to evaluate our research. Even after using these tools, we need to understand whether we can interpret in the words of understanding the language in which we do we write our research analysis or research findings is what matters. And I think probably that is what I'm also very anxious to see how the presenters truly are going to present their research findings, research outcome, the ideas that they're putting, and how simply and how clearly they are able to, convince us about the importance of the research that they have taken on. So I think with these few words, I want to just share that all the best to all the presenters, and I will be anxiously listening to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for those wonderful words of encouragement. I think this means a lot for a discipline like public administration. So here we start with the presentations for the day. So can I? Okay, so can I call Ms. Anushri Pandey, Assistant Professor from the Department of Sociology, Government Girls College, Chhattisgarh. on the topic New Education Policy and E-Learning, Ensuring Equitable Use of Technology and Revamping the System. I would like to announce that we would have the question answer session at the end of the presentation. So here we go.
Very good evening to one and all. I'm Anushri Pandey, and in this presentation, I would be giving an insight about the New Education Policy 2020 and e-learning, ensuring the equitable use of technology and revamping education system. So moving on to the introduction, here I would like to begin with the quote of Alvin Toffler when he says that the illiterate of 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So in today's scenario, with the advent of globalization and technological advancement and innovations like artificial intelligence, robotics, and blockchain, and the new circumstances and realities, which requires new initiatives. And the recent rise in epidemics and pandemics necessitates that we are ready with alternative modes of education. So education on one hand can play a crucial role during the transformation, and technology along with it itself on the other hand can play a very important role within the improvement of academic processes and outcomes. So new education policy, we can say that is a holistic attempt to turn the dream of imparting education to most inaccessible corners driven by digital learning into the reality. This new education policy 2020 looks at the students not as a citizens of tomorrow, but as a citizens of today, and recognizes the importance of leveraging the advantages of technology with the principal idea of extensive use of technology in teaching and learning, removing the language barriers, increasing the access as well as the education planning and management. So the main objective of my paper is to study systematic structural mechanism while making into the consideration some of the key aspects of NEP 2020 for analyzing the implications on digital and inclusive learning. And in this paper, I have analyzed the secondary resources and data like New Education Policy 2020 draft and various research papers and articles. So moving on to the next topic, that is thrust of technological interventions. So nowadays, technology and digital platforms has become very prominent part of our lives. It has not only transformed, but it has become a very integral part of our lives as well as our education. So the major thrust of technological interventions within the education is first to evaluate the process of teaching and learning, because in today's scenario the advancements are going on and it is continuously increasing. So we have to evaluate, unlearn and relearn the teaching and learning processes, as well as enhancing the educational process. It also helps in removing the language barriers and providing the quality education across the globe and to students of every nook and corner. It also provides accessible education to Divyang students who are not able to access various education platforms. And it also helps in extensive research and innovation. It is not possible to perform collaborative research and innovations without help of technology and digital platforms. So the New Education Policy 2020, which is the first education policy of 21st century, is based on the 5 foundational principles, which inculcates the values of our constitution and fundamental rights, that is SS, which says that all the children, irrespective of caste, creed, location, or gender, should have the access of quality education. Second is equity, which says that new education policy provides and offer individualized support to each and every student. And the third is quality. So it is based on providing quality contents to all the students across the globe and every nook and corner. And fourth is the affordability. That means free and accessible education. And the last is accountability. So the New Education Policy 2020 is presented as a forward-looking vision and is perceived to hold the promise of providing equitable and quality education for all. This facilitated with the digital education that has peaked during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic across the world. The SDG-4 is concerned with the assurance of equal opportunities of education to be provided to all, recognizing the all types of learning. And we all know that e-learning is a flexible mode of learning, and it is a pathway that enables the inclusion of diverse learners and improves the concept of education and provides the lifelong learning, where people who are lacking wealth and with disabilities and who suffer from different social status can be benefited the most. So, New Education Policy 2020 recognizes the importance of leveraging the advantages of technology while acknowledging the potential risk and dangers. It helps in optimizing and expanding the existing digital platforms and ongoing ICT-based educational initiative to meet the current needs and future challenges. It helps to delve using technology for online and digital education adequately to address the concern of equity, and also help in carefully designing the curriculum to inculcate digital education. So here are some of the key initiatives launched under the New Education Policy 2020 that promotes e-learning as well as the inclusive education. So first is pilot studies on online education. So government has ordered some of the educational institutions and universities like NITs, IITs, IGNOUs to conduct some research for maximizing the benefit of digital learning in India. And second is online teaching tools. So the existing e-learning platforms, that is Swayam, Diksha, Swayam Prabha, will be extended to provide teachers with a user-friendly and well-structured environment. Third is the digital infrastructure. So the main motive of New Education Policy is to include some investment in creation of public digital and interoperable infrastructure that can be utilized by multiple platforms. And next is the virtual labs. So some digital platforms like Swayam, Swayam Prabha, and Diksha will be asked to create some virtual labs where students can practice their theoretical knowledge. And these labs will be equipped with all the tools for improving the hands-on experiment, that is experiential learning experiences. And the next is digital repository, content creation and dissemination. So government is emphasizing more on creation of quality e-content and its dissemination across the nation so that each and every student can be benefited. And it also promotes blended model of learning, that is importance of face-to-face learning will not be compromised while promoting the digital learning and education. Here is emphasized on the inculcation of different models of blended learning. So now we will see some of the online and digital learning education implications by New Education Policy. So first, it promises for the availability of affordable computing devices to eliminate digital divide, which is the major issue for the proper implementation of digital learning in recent scenario in India. So second is optimizing expanding the existing digital platforms and ICT-based initiatives that has already been in run. And the next is that it provides assistive tools for monitoring progress of diverse group of learners. It also focuses on investment on creation of open and interruptible, evaluable and public digital infrastructure. And it also promotes the educational programs that is made available 24/7 in different languages. And it also helps in promotion of blended approach with online as well as the experiential learning. So here are some of the important challenges as well, which is imposed by the digital learning, which has to be dealt with. So first is digital divide. As data suggests that more than 55% of the population is not computer literate. They are not even aware of the basics of how to operate computer and laptops. So this is the first and the biggest issue for the implementation of digital learning within the New Education Policy 2020. Second is the lack of infrastructure. Third is digital competencies of teachers to meet further need. Like some of the teachers are not familiar with the new format of education. They're not well trained for online education classes. Besides that, it is not necessary that a good classroom teacher will be good teacher in the online classroom. And the next is unavailability of public as well as digital resources. There are limited number of resources available to conduct an online examination in India. So there is problem in assessment also. And there is lack of social interaction within the teacher and students within any way among the rural students. So moving on to the conclusion, the present age is driven by the digital technologies and whole globe come under the influence of internet and technology. So the internet equipped both education seekers as well as the education providers and led them together under the virtual roof. Therefore, in the modern era, the role of online technology in providing education is vital. And with its flexible nature, the online educational technologies have gained momentum, and new education policy has been performing the vital role in enforcing the digital education and e-learning across the nation. Thank you so much for the patient listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anushree Pandey. It is actually a very simple topic, but a lot of inputs have been given pertaining even to the challenges of digital education. Though we are in the revolutionary phase, we are in the age of artificial intelligence and chat GPT. So all these are in vogue today, but yet you have brought in the challenges of the digital education. So thank you so much. We move on to the next participant. We have Dr. Anand from the Department of Political Science and Public Administration, Annamalai University. He'll be presenting on the topic, the future of Indian higher education, preparing students for the 21st century workforce. Mr. Anand, is it? Mr. Anand? Yeah.
Give me a minute to check.
Yeah. Mr. Anand, you may start. The screen is visible.
Yeah.
I think there is a
Good
connectivity.
evening, everyone. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Good evening, ma'am. My topic is the future of Indian higher education system and preparing the students for the 21st century workforce. So as I discussed in this paper, India's higher education is the world's third largest in terms of enrollment of students next to the United States of America and China. So as per the recent Aisha report, the All India Survey of Higher Education report 2020 to 2021, there are
Anand, you are not audible.
113
Please.
universities.
Anand, please improve your audio.
Okay.
The quality of your audio. It's audible. Only thing is, it's the texture of the audio. The voice is not. Clean.
The voice is
Something
quite
wrong with
feeble.
Yeah, connection issues.
Okay. So I'm currently living in a room here. So am I audible now?
Yeah. Are you speaking? You have your headphones on, or are you speaking from the
Yes.
laptop?
No,
Now, there seems to be some disconnect off and on.
Mr. Anand, I would
So-
suggest that you press in the third so that you get the arrangements done, so that the rest of the participants, I will ask one of them to press in now, and you can do the next.
Okay.
Yeah, because your voice,
Okay.
the connectivity, I think the voice has to be okay to hear.
Actually, I'm currently in Kodaikanal, in a hills region, so I'm facing some network issues here.
Yeah, no, the voice is, see, we are able to hear you, but it's quite feeble. Either
Okay.
you'll have to increase the voice decibel, or I don't know how you can make the changes.
I think some earphone issues. Probably you can get some.
Never mind. You just set it ready. I'll ask another participant to present it. By then you can get ready. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for the cooperation.
Thank you.
Can you stop sharing the screen, please? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we move ahead with Dr. Anju Liskurian. She is presenting on the topic Man-Animal Conflict, Attitudinal Change Among Public Towards Wildlife Policies. She is from St. Thomas College, Pala, Kerala. Over to you, Dr. Anju.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Good evening to all and respected chairs and fellow participants. I'd like to share an overview of my paper titled Man-Animal Conflict, Attitudinal Change Among Public Towards the Wildlife Policies. Human-animal conflict has been one of the most discussed topics in the context of environment conservation. International Union for Conservation of Nature has defined human-wildlife conflict as that is occurs when wildlife requirements encroach on those of human populations with costs both to residents and wild animals, and also vice versa. And I am focusing particularly on in the context of Kerala. And when I reviewed the literature, I could find that it is not confined to the state of Kerala, but it is affected by all continents and countries, whether developed or developing, and almost everywhere it is present. And in the case of Kerala, we have many protected areas. The system of protected areas with so much restrictions, this has started in the late 1880s with the establishment of first national park in America, named Yellowstone National Park in 1872. And the system of creation of national parks or protected areas across the world, and that system has continued or followed in developing nations like India also. At present, India has 106 national parks, 567 wildlife sanctuaries, 220 community reserves, and 105 conservation reserves. When we look into this scenario of the state of Kerala, it has 5 national parks, 17 wildlife sanctuaries, and 1 community reserve. And when we look into these statistics, we have protected areas, but the population, wildlife population, in the case of tiger, 29% of the wildlife tigers are outside the tiger reserves, and 67% of elephants are outside protected areas. And in the case of wolf, it is 100%, and blackback, it is 50%, and Gangetic dolphin, it's 100%. It is one of the statistics of an NGO based in New Delhi. And in the case of Kerala, when we look into the statistics of the wildlife conflict and its impact on the people, human deaths has increased every year. When we look into the data, and impact on live crop damage, it is also increasing, and livestock deprivation also happening. All these are increasing by every year. But governments have failed to take necessary measures to mitigate the issue or take the faith of the people. They are protected from the side of government. That is lacking in the case of man-animal conflict. In the case of Kerala, total forest boundary is 16,846 kilometers, and about in this 66,000 kilometers are shared with human settlements. 106 panchayats are forest fringe panchayats, in which 34 lakh 66,142 population, more than 34 lakh people are directly affected by the human-wildlife conflict, and the number of people affected by the human-wildlife conflict is much more. This is the statistics of the people who are directly affected. And when we look into why these conflicts are increasing, because one of the reasons is the increasing number of the wildlife population. When we look into the data, it is the data of the Kerala Forest Statistics. It says that the number of wildlife, each category has increased due to various conservation measures. But proper management of this increased wildlife population is lacking, and government is failed to manage the wildlife within the forest boundaries, and also failed to protect the life and livelihood of the people. And particularly, we can look into the case of elephant, one of the most damaging wildlife in the case of people. And in various, the number of wild elephants in various states has also shown in this picture, and also the density of human population, and also the forest area. When we specifically look into the case of Kerala, Kerala has 859 people per square kilometer, and it has a forest area of 9,679 square kilometer, and number of elephants are 7,490. When we distribute the area to these elephants, we can allocate only 1.29 square kilometer, and that means there is no enough space for the elephants, and also that means that adequate food is also lacking for the elephant. And Zimmerman et al. Has studied this man-animal conflict with the theory of levels of conflict, in which first level of conflict is a dispute. Level of dispute, in that level, crop and livestock laws are there, and people are not much concerned about it. And people are optimistic that this can be reduced or alleviated by the intervention of government. But this is not happening. The level of conflict steps into the next level. And in that level, underlying conflict, because the people have the past experience and these damages are recurring or continuing. So no satisfactory resolution is expected because people already have the bad experiences and government intervention is not adequate and satisfying due to various reasons, mainly because of the involvement of these environmentalists who are very much concerned with the protection of wildlife. And next level is deep-rooted conflict. Here, the conflict is getting into another level where ideological conflicts arises because the people who are concerned or living in the forest fringe villages or directly affected by this man-animal conflict, actually they are protecting the environment for their life and livelihood. Environment conservation is a matter of survival for them. On the other hand, those who are against these people for the protection, they are arguing for the protection of wildlife, means deep ecologists or environmentalists, they have an ideological support. Ideologically, they are in favor of environment conservation. Actually, this environmental conservation is something that is satisfying their intellectual level or intellectual satisfaction. But for the other affected parties, it is for their survival. And in the case of this ideological conflict, the people who are the environmentalists who are compared to the other one is privileged. They have more access to this policy level or power. So they can easily influence the policies. So, and at these people, common people who are affected by this issue, is their voices are unheard in the most cases. But they are in the mainstream these days because there is an attitudinal change from the side of people. And some of the states are intervening in this issue through various policies. One of the most important policy intervention is culling of animals. In the case of 4 states, Himachal Pradesh, Bihar, Uttarakhand, and Maharashtra started the culling of animals to protect the people from this conflict. And also because there are invisible impacts due to the human-wildlife conflict, like food security. Once the people who are producers becomes consumers, and unemployment, and also the psychological effect. All these are invisible effects of this man-animal conflict. And Gujarat and Goa has proposed plans of mitigating this issue. And this is one of the photographs from the Idukki district of Kerala. They have a good shelter, but they are not in a position to live inside because of the fear of elephant attack. This is the scenario in many of the villages of Kerala. And people protests against these environment conservation policies are evident from the 2010s, especially with the publication of Gargill report. And continuously and in these areas, people are very much concerned about or aware, and they are suspiciously looks at each policy, conservation policy that is going to implement or to the field, or especially top to down conservation policies. If there are some doubts, they are in a position to protest. And there are so many civil society movements, non-governmental organizations to support the issues of the people, common people. In the case of academic scenario also, there are publications concerning the issues of people, why they are protesting. And these are the recent or last year's protest movements against the eco-sensitive zone, which are aiming at the conservation of forest fringe areas to protect the wildlife or to mitigate the wildlife conflict. And here I am not comparing the rights of the people with the rights of the wildlife. Whether the rights of the wildlife equal or above. That is the concern of environmentalists. My concern is the rights of people, fundamental rights that is enshrined in our constitution, and the government is entrusted to protect the life of people, and the rights of people living in each corner of the state is equal. And the life and livelihood of the people living in forest fringe villages is not less than the rights of the people who are living in urban areas or whichever profession they are belonging to. So it is the duty of the government to protect the life and livelihood of the people at any scenario. And I like to conclude by saying that immediate policy intervention at the government level is needed, like carrying capacity studies, wildlife management rules, justifiable compensation, etc. And in the case of Kerala, it is not only the case of Kerala, but across India, public policies interventions to mitigate the human-wildlife conflict and also to protect the life and livelihood of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anju. That was a nice topic on man-animal conflict with the kind of violence that is happening against the animal and how, as a human, we need to protect their safety also matters. And it was a nice one where you have mentioned about the duties, fundamental duties, and rights of every citizen and how it can affect the entire system. Because habitat is also very much necessary for the development of the economy. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now we move on to Mr. Anand. Are you ready now? Will you be able to present now?
Is it clear now?
Yes, it is clear. I think you really have connectivity issues, but then you have to present. So I think you can go for presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My focus the future of education, preparing students for the 21st century world. So India is the third largest higher education system in terms of enrollment of students, next to the United States of America and China. And as per the recent ICCPART report, the All India Survey of Higher Education report 2020 to 2021, there are 1,113 universities and 43,796 colleges affiliated with 314 universities and 11,296 standalone institutions are present in India. And among these, 100
I think he has a connectivity issue.
Yeah, yeah. Probably you can ask him to talk at the last because
We'll do that, ma'am.
he's not having a stable.
Yeah. Can you just wait for a minute and see if he logs in? Then I can. Yeah, he's come.
Yes.
Mr. Anand?
Sorry, uh, my mic was muted. So after the independence,
You
the
need to share
government
your
focused,
screen. You need to share your screen.
It's is it
Yes.
visible now?
Yeah, it is visible.
So after the independence, the government focused more on enhancing access and equity in higher education instead of focusing quality and relevance. Because on the public policy side, mostly the developing countries always focus on the quantity rather than quality because of the inadequate resources to fulfill the indefinite needs. And in India, there are 23 Indian Institute of Technology and 20 Indian Institute of Management, which are established as the symbols of excellence, progress, and pride for India. But they are inadequate to provide the emerging demands in the job market for graduates. So most of the higher education institutions in India, in particular the government institutions, are facing some common issues across multiple disciplines, which are like low quality, poor infrastructure, the wide gap between the demand and supply in the market of labor, and inadequate faculty, rote learning, narrow focus on final exams rather than focusing on the actual learning, lack of autonomy, and research facilities. Too much that lead to imbalance between the administrative side of the institution and the academic side of the higher education institutions. So after the after the emergence of new public management concept, specifically after imposing the LPG reforms in India, the market was opened to private and competition.
Hello.
Sorry, my mind was disconnected.
You're logging off. You're getting disconnected. Yeah.
So what you do, Anand, I think it's better
He's not
that
here.
you don't
He
use
got
you don't.
disconnected, ma'am.
Okay, we'll put in the last one. You can just run through instead of putting slides. You can just present such objectives and findings.
Ma'am, you can tell him now.
Anand?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I'm automatically
Yeah,
being
can you just
disconnected.
you have a lot of slides, right? Why don't you off the slides and just present your give an overarching idea about your research objectives, your the logistics that you have to validate your objectives and your findings.
Sure. So my research objectives are to identify gap between the concepts of quality and skills in the higher education system of India, to understand the paradox of qualification and skills in the Indian higher education system, because I believe that there is a gap between the terms of qualification and skills. And the major discussions over here So I was saying about the new public management concept. So after the LPG reforms were imposed, many private players entered in the market and the competition was increased. So the term quality gained the spotlight since the term itself became a prestige attached to the institution. So we can see these things in advertisements of many higher education institutions in India, and specifically the private institutions. So the term quality is always been in debate for many decades. So in the absence of any defined parameters, it was almost impossible to determine quality in quantifiable terms. So many quantifiable measurements were developed in the higher education system, such as the accreditation, ranking, and benchmarking in contemporary times, and many bodies like the National Assessment and Aggregation Council, which is also known as NAC, the National Board of Accreditation, and the National Institutional Ranking Framework established to ensure fair evaluation of the higher education institutions and declaration of the quality measurements of higher education institutions. However, quantifying the quality of higher education institutions also poses some challenges and limitations. The evaluation of the quality of higher education institutions is a multi-dimensional concept that cannot be fully captured by a single method or a single indicator. Many higher education institutions have different missions, visions, values, cultures, and the environment, context, and the stakeholders, which projects the heterogeneous nature of the system. And the quality measurement indicators impact many higher education institutions in such a way that the concentration is more focused on preparing and processing the data rather than actually concentrating on the real academic activities such as teaching and research. So skills or the abilities and competencies that enable individuals to perform tasks and activities effectively and efficiently in different contexts. And the skills plays a major role in the current labor market. So in the higher education system of India, skills are acquired through formal and informal learning processes rather that aim to develop the knowledge, attitude, and values of students for personal and professional development. So in the current labor market, skills are demanded by employers and rewarded with wages and other benefits that reflect the productivity and employability of workers. So basically, education around the world considers being a significant tool for economic, social, and political environment. So it is not even in India. So in the international level, in the across the world, education is considered to be a significant tool for economic, social, and political development. Many college graduates, specifically first generation graduates, hope that a college degree is the only means through which they can escape from the economic hurdles of family and society by getting a job. So, but the discussion in this paper, in my presentation, suggests that a college degree alone will not guarantee a job in the current labor market, since employers expect more than just a college degree, because there is a gap between the quality of the educational institution and the quality or the skills acquired by the student, and there is a gap between the qualification of the student and his or her skills, relevant skills in the labor market. So the skill gap between what employers are looking for and what graduates have is widening. So this is due to the rapid pace of technological development and the increasing demand for skilled labor force in the labor market. And the lack of quality of vocational training in India is also a significant reason for this widening gap in the higher education system. And reforming the education system is always been important and significant administrative issue in India. And communication between the employers and the education institution is essential to reducing the gap between the demand and the supply in the contemporary labor market. This is because the employers are the one who knows what skills are needed in the workforce, and education institutions are the one who are responsible for teaching those skills. So employers and educational institutions can create like a joint advisory boards that meet regularly to discuss the needs of the workforce and how educational institutions can meet those needs. And higher education institutions can offer courses and programs that are co-developed with the employers, experts, and industrialists, ensuring that students are learning the skills that employers are really need. The teaching process in higher education institutions need to include the people who are currently working in this specific sector with a significant amount of experience and expertise, which will complement the theoretical teaching with the practical and technical knowledge. And the current system of measuring students' achievement is largely based on standardized tests, which do not always measure the skills that are most important for success in their workforce and career. So a standardized measure of student skills that is relevant to the labor market would provide a more accurate picture for the readiness of the workforce. So as a standardized procedure was developed to measure the quality of higher education institutions, there must be a measurement, a standardized measurement should be developed to measure the skills of the students. And so this is my conclusion of the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Anand. That was a nice topic. That was again on digital, the education. We had one on digital education and educational policy, and then now how to prepare the students for the workforce. So it's something very much interrelated to employment opportunities, how education can influence the employment or the job creation. So that was nice. Thank you for that presentation. Now we move on. Yeah, we move on to the next paper presenter, Mr. Vivek Kumar Singh. He is a research scholar from the Center for Political Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and his topic is on Dalits in business, evaluating government schemes and policies for the SC/ST entrepreneurs.
Yeah, hello ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening. My name is Vivek Kumar Singh and I'm a PhD candidate at the Center for Political Studies at JNU. I would first like to thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present my paper at this conference. The title of my paper is Dalits in Business, Evaluating Government Schemes and Policies for SC/ST Entrepreneurs. Diversity, equity, and inclusion have become buzzwords in policymaking and the corporate world. There is a growing recognition that DEI leads to tangible benefits like increased pool of talent, better prices, as well as intangible benefits like improved trust from consumers, entry into ethnic markets. Governments and companies are actively encouraging inclusiveness in different domains through policies like affirmative action in employment, non-discrimination clauses in policies, and the diversification of supply chains. Such initiatives aim at economic empowerment and inclusion of groups marginalized on the basis of race, ethnicity, caste, gender, disability, and sexuality. Supplier diversity in public procurement is one of the most important initiatives under the DEI umbrella. The government is one of the largest consumers in the economy, accounting for almost 15 to 20% of the GDP in developed countries and as much as 40% in developing countries. Public procurement does not fall under any domain of the WTO, and hence it can be used as an effective tool to reach social and economic objectives by the government. Supplier diversity clauses require that a certain part of the public procurement must be obtained from smaller businesses to provide them a steady market. Supplier diversity often aims at promoting enterprises owned by particular sections of society, like women, marginalized caste, and ethnic minorities. This would encourage the participation of these communities and lead to their economic empowerment. The United States of America is the pioneer in the supplier diversity initiative, starting as early as 1960s. So there has been a lot of literature which discusses the different kinds of initiatives of supplier diversity across the world. Studies show that supplier diversity has been effective and useful in increasing the presence of marginalized groups in the economy. For instance, Worthington argues that there is a business case for supplier diversity, as it improves the performance of the organization, builds better stakeholder relationships, contributes to strategic objectives. Due to this recognition, even private enterprises have taken up supplier diversity initiatives. Shah and Ram have evaluated the business case through 3 MNCs based in the US. A study by Kirtan compares the supplier diversity initiatives in Kenya, India, Australia, and Jamaica. And it argues that there is a need to increase specific policies to improve the presence of women in business. Ram et al. Have studied the policy transfer from the National Minority Supplier Development Council in the US to the Supplier Development East Midlands in the UK. They show that there can be a successful transfer of policy by adopting it to the regional context. Experience from a wide range of countries shows that supplier diversity has been successful, increasing the share of small businesses. For instance, Rogerson discusses the South African Supplier Diversity Council. The European Union, which was initially skeptical of this idea, has warmed up to it and has set aside a certain percentage exclusively permitted by the 2004 EU Public Procurement Directives, which was broadened by the 2014 directives. In this context, India has brought in some important policies and schemes in the past few decades to empower entrepreneurs coming from scheduled caste and scheduled tribes who have been historically marginalized and subjugated to the lower ends of the economy. The most important among these are the supplier diversity in public procurement adopted in 2012 and venture capital funds for scheduled caste. In the following sections, we will examine each of these in more detail. Under the supplier diversity in central public procurement policy, 25% of all the procurement made by departments, ministries, and central public sector enterprises must be made from MSMEs. 568 items are to be exclusively bought from small and micro enterprises. 4% of total procurement must be from SC/ST entrepreneurs. 3% of all procurement must be from women entrepreneurs. So, for instance, if a CPSE buys worth 100 crores of goods, 25 crores must be brought from MSEs, and 4 crores from SC/ST, and 3 crores from women. Now, if you look at the implementation of this policy, out of a total of 330 CPSEs, there has been a very poor level of reporting. More than half of the CPSEs have not fully reported the data about the stipulated procurement targets and their performance in achieving them. This number has shown no sign of decline. The performance of the CPSEs that have reported the data is also discouraging. For instance, in 2018-19, out of 165 CPSEs who reported the data, only 25 fulfilled the mandatory 4% procurement from SC/ST entrepreneurs. The 25% target from MSCs has been much higher, has been fulfilled by a much higher number, with 132 CPSEs reaching the target. The poor trend of reaching the target for SC/ST entrepreneurs continues from 2017 to 2023. In 2022-23, out of 140 CPSEs, only 16 reached the target. This highlights that there are hurdles in the implementation of these policies. One of the problems in the implementation is the connecting with MSMEs in general and SC/ST MSMEs in particular. To tackle this, the government has launched the Government E-Marketplace or GEM portal to bring together suppliers and buyers. However, if you look at the share of SC/ST entrepreneurs in this, it still remains low. in terms of the number of enterprises as well as the amount of orders that they have delivered. MSME Ministry launched the National SC/ST Hub in 2016. As per the available data, more than 1 lakh of SC/ST candidates have been assisted through different programs like capacity building measures, business-to-business engagement, awareness campaigns, and special vendor development programs. Now, yeah, so the next important policy is the Venture Capital Fund for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Caste. Under this, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has formed a corpus fund which will which aims at providing easy finance to scheduled caste entrepreneurs. To rupees 5 crore would be sanctioned shall fund maximum of 75% of the project cost. Over 5 crore, they shall fund up to 50% of the project cost. At least 25% of the government subsidy should be from government subsidy and 25% by the promoter or through financial assistance. This table shows the total corpus of the venture capital fund for the scheduled caste. If you look at the number of beneficiaries, in 2018, 71 companies were sanctioned to 65 crores. Of this, 151 crores were dispersed to 45 companies. By 2022, 126 companies were sanctioned over 466 crores, of which only 290 crores were actually dispersed to 93 companies. There is a big gap between the sanction amount and the actual disbursement, which goes against the very purpose of creating a venture capital fund. The 43rd Standing Committee report on social justice and empowerment strongly criticized the poor performance of the venture capital fund, stating that the committee are quite disappointed to note that the department was not able to spend a single penny under the VCF-SC in 2021. The committee desires that the remaining amount sanctioned to the company should be dispersed without any delay, and the committee would also like to be apprised of the details of the total amount dispersed. So it has clearly called out the lack of performance of this policy. There is another policy within the VCF, which is called the ASIM policy or Ambedkar Social Innovation Incubation Mission, which has been recently launched. And so far, 6.9 crores have been sanctioned to 23 companies. Another important scheme is the Stand Up India scheme, started by the Ministry of Finance in 2016 to facilitate bank loans between 10 lakh to 1 crore to at least one SC/ST entrepreneurs and at least one woman borrower per bank branch to set up a greenfield enterprise. Now, if we look at the number of accounts under Stand Up India, although there has been an increase, it has not been a very steep increase. And if you look at the amount sanctioned, here again, contrary to expectations, the rate of growth has not been very impressive. The rate of growth has been better for women enterprises, women-owned enterprises, but has been quite low for SC/ST enterprises. Now, coming to the last point, which is the improving effectiveness of these policies. First, I would argue that a contextual adoption of best practice from other countries is required. For instance, increasing the involvement of mediating bodies. In the Indian context, this would be bodies like the Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries, which represent the interest of the specific groups. There can be more online monitoring of the progress with penalties for non-compliance of these procurement requirements. Encouraging large private sector enterprises to also adopt supplier diversity in procurement can be another way to improve the effectiveness. A lot of companies in the US have found that supplier diversity has actually helped them in increasing their revenues. there is a need to increase awareness among consumers to put moral pressure on diversifying procurement. This has worked especially in the US, where the sorry, my screen seems to be on. All right, I'm just finishing. Yeah, so there is an increasing awareness among consumers. So there is what we call the browning of the US economy, with the ethnic minorities increasing their presence and their say in the economy, due to which even all the government bodies and the private companies are trying to have to face some sort of a moral pressure to diversify their procurement policies or to implement affirmative action. Another important need is to encourage the skills of entrepreneurship among Dalits. To conclude, we find that there is an increased presence of Dalits in business, which shows that there is a willingness to explore this domain. Experience of Dalits in business shows that they face difficulty in accessing credit or accessing space. For instance, as we can see in the book by Dalit Capital by Asim Prakash. But the diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in the economy are essential to reach both our economic and social objectives. So in this case, for the Dalits in India, DEI initiatives can be an important way in the light of growing privatization, which would lead to their economic and social empowerment. So yeah, thank you. That is from my end.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek Singh. I think this was a very an intensive study that you have done on the government schemes, providing us with a lot of good statistics, and a lot of information is also being conveyed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Is Dr. Zahida Begum present? Dr. Zahida? No? Okay, anyone else has to present for the day? Okay, so then I think if Dr. Zahida is not there, Mr. Vivek is the last presenter for the day. So we had Ms. Anushri Pandey, Mr. Anand, Mr. Vivek Kumar Singh. Dr. Zahida? Ma'am, what shall we do? I think Dr. Zahida is not there.
Only 3-4 presenters.
Huh. The name
Am
Dr.
I audible?
Zahida. Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. When should we conclude then?
We will, shall we?
Coaches.
I think that we can conclude now. We can conclude now because
We can conclude, sir.
yeah, we need not wait for.
Okay.
Sir. Anyway, it was nice to listen to all the 4 interesting papers. First by Dr. Anushri Pandey, who spoke on national education policy and use of ICT and the structural mechanisms, and about the issues in digital transformation and its impact on effective learning. Well, that was quite interesting. It was more of qualitative study, and I think she could concentrate more on bringing each component of the study, try to question each one of them, because structural mechanism itself we need to compare. So a lot of things, too many variables. So probably I think, but otherwise a very interesting, nice topic to have been chosen. So I don't have a question, but I would rather request her to do a kind of a review and revisit and bring in more a kind of apply better methods to see that there is more validation about how we can change the mechanisms, because we say that government is having a bureaucratic structure, and there is always a contest as to is there any alternative to this bureaucratic structure, which is role bound and hierarchical unity of command. Can we have an alternate kind of structure which would ensure that these policies are reaching the people effectively? So probably there could be better outcomes if there is more crystal clear application of methodology. Anyway, I appreciate Mr. Pandey for that paper. Second, it was Dr. Anja Kurian, who spoke on man-animal conflict, on wildlife policies. That again was very eye-opening. There's a lot of data comparisons based on the secondary data, talking about the scenario in India and Kerala in particular, and also for the role of the civil society movements in Kerala to get the attention of the government towards this wildlife. Well, in certain data, certain tables I did not find the year, because just having data in a particular for a particular year cannot give a kind of a judgment, or cannot assume. We cannot assume that this is the scenario. You need to see, of course, in certain other tabular columns there is a comparison. But I still appreciate her for taking this subject and probably go into, because wild animal itself, there are many, like of course she's given a table about different kinds of animals, but if there is an application of the study in a particular area and affecting a particular group of people, it will throw the light of the enormity of issues against the people. And wildlife policy, it's again is a very broad, and what are there should be a kind of, again, a micro study in each of them, and then give a macro idea of how these policies can improve the forest itself. Because yes, Kerala is a place where you have this kind of studies is very needed. And since we have more of natural habitat there, and we need to, and most of the people there are outside Kerala. So we need to see that there is how you can bring about a better balancing of animal and wildlife issues. So congrats to Dr. Anja Kurian for writing on that particular topic. Followed by Anand, again another interesting paper by a young PhD scholar about future of India on higher education, since he is in the stage of getting his doctorate and thinking more progressively about the future of students, and stressing on skill and trying to see how we assess the institutions, education institutions in particularly, how validated, how do we say that they are having quality, providing quality education. And he has his concerns about how we evaluate the quality of education. We do not evaluate the skills that are being provided to the students or the young ones in the institutions. So we need to, because today education is more of for employability rather than employability and knowledge. So we need to see that we are really equipping this young one with skills for having a life value, and also to promote their scope to employment. So he did tell about the issues about quantifying the quality of the skill and how it is in higher education. So it was again a very thought-provoking presentation, and again he could do more by revisiting, reviewing, and referring more methodological approaches to concretely convince the public administration, academician, or the research group as to how we can really change the policies, or how we can make policies more effective by parallelly improving the institutions and also the skills of these young students. And the next paper was by Vivek Kumar, another PhD scholar from JNU, Center of Political Studies. I really enjoyed listening to him with his idea on diversity, equity, and compensation, inclusion. He talked about the implementation strategies, policies, and how CPSC is having a lot of hurdles, and how government is trying to initiate certain programs and schemes to empower these Dalit businessmen, both SC and ST entrepreneurs, and finally how the picture is, how dismal is the picture, where lies inequality between the broader entrepreneur scenario, and where you find that the empowerment of the Dalits in particular is minuscule. And there is a need to really address this issue, and I think he has really got it in a better light with a lot of data and theoretical approaches to understand this dimension of the issue in public administration. Yes, so I really do not have a question, but I think if co-chair has a questions, because always he is a person who has a lot of questions, and I would be interested, I'll be waiting to see what kind of questions he has, and I could also learn from the responses that these scholars can give to Sir co-chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for those remarks. I think it's a good takeaway for the participants, your inputs, and they would even refine it better from the next presentations ahead. Any other questions participants would like to raise before we go to our co-chair on any presentations that you had witnessed now? Any questions?
Want to question each other?
It's always like this, that whenever a presentation is on, we'll be too focused in our very own presentation that you won't even ask questions. You won't be, your mind doesn't sit on to see the presentations of others also. But yet, in a general way, when you look at the title, you may come across a lot of questions also. So,
Sabu sir has questions. Probably.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sabu sir is all ready now.
It comes with it now.
Yes.
Actually, well, I have a question to Mr. Anand. Anand, are you there?
Anand is not here, sir. I think he's locked out. He's got a
some-
connectivity issue. So when he logs in, I will let you know.
Okay, so the question is just the thing that he is talking about lot of things about the connectivity between education institutions and the employers, but all these things are being incorporated in the NEP. I would like to, yes, they're talking about preparing people for the 21st century employment. So with this kind of connectivity, how we are going to prepare these people?
Yeah, Dr. Anushree Pandey may have a little case study from today's conference. What kind of mechanisms will work?
Ms. Anushree Pandey, are you there?
Anushree, we have a serious question to you. How do you think that this online kind of education can be possible with this kind of digital infrastructure in India? Anushree?
Ms. Anushree, are you there?
Probably we can go to the next speaker, question the next speaker.
I think we had a few presenters who had spoken on education. I think one of you can also answer.
Okay, Anshu, I think now I can ask you a question if you are there.
Yes, sir, I am here.
Let me ask
Yeah.
that. Okay, so the very term man-animal conflict itself is contradictory. I think there is actually no conflict. This conflict is man-made. Is it right? That's what I think. The animals has never made a conflict. We made a conflict. And we term it as a conflict. This is my view on that. So how we can talk about man-animal conflicts? There is a man conflict with the animal. Animal has no conflict with the man.
The conflict is applicable for man and as well as for wildlife. As I mentioned, I talked about the definition of man-animal conflict. When the resources are taken away from, whether it is belongs to animal or it belongs to human beings, there occurs the conflict. And we cannot say that it is man-made. Both have the right to live on the planet. And with the conservation policies, some restrictions have imposed on human beings. At the beginning, at the beginning of history, we are living with the wild animals. When we started agriculture, we have settled, and that moment of settlement started the encroachment on the forests or wildlife. So I am saying that when we talks about the taking away of the resources of wild animals, each one of us are responsible. And today we are talking about the people who are living in the forest fringe villages. They are directly affected by this man-animal conflict. And we are talking about or blaming them that they are taking away the resources of wild animals. And how we can say in such a manner? Because the rights of each one of us are same, whether we are living in urban area or in villages, and whether we are belong to any of the profession. And the government has the right to protect the life and livelihood of the people. And also the wildlife, conserve the environment or the wildlife. But how they can implement these policies that is acceptable for all the people, for the deep ecology, in the case of deep ecologists as well as the common people affected by it. And everyone is saying their perspective is correct. So I am not denying the or blaming about or critically looking at the perspectives of people. From the perspective of each one, they are right. And the life, taking away the life of someone and justifying that by saying that the environment should be conserved. How we can say like that? So I am talking about the rights of the people, each one, like me, or it is case of me or you. It is important. It is something that is related to the family life of or a social life, because we are denying the rights of these people, and the next day and all these people are coming to the urban areas to settle down. As Uma ma'am asking me, do you have any empirical experience? I have visited more than 8 districts of Kerala and talked to the people affected by this issue. We cannot believe that the problems affected by this man-animal conflict. We cannot think that how they are living. At every moment, they are living at fear, at the shadow of death. Can you imagine how will be the psychological impact of these people and the children of these people? And they are not in a position to send their children to the schools because they are in a fear that will they come by. And so for the purpose of educating their children, they are settling to or evacuating from these villages, their own areas, and coming to settle down in urban areas. And all these agricultural areas are becoming non-farming areas. Once they are producers, now we have to feed these people, and they were at a time they were contributing to the food security of the society. And we are at a threat of food security also. These people are engaged in farming sector, and new employment opportunities should be provided to these people. They are coming to to urban areas. The social harmony is a threat. And also the wildlife. People are responding violently against wildlife conservation or environment conservation. These people are actually conserving environment, and they are now they are not at all talking about, not at all interested in talking about environment conservation, because they are conserving for their life and livelihood. That survival conservation is not a matter of discussion for people who are in the privileged sector, and the people, and they are with the conservation ideas of Western conservation ideas, that is pristine nature conservation, and also the conservation of people development.
And here I have a question. So, well, your observations are right, but as far as I think, I'm not sure about that. I think that this is not a serious issue in the case of a state like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, or our nearby states. But I think there is something special in Kerala with regard to this man-animal conflict. I think the Tamil Nadu people does not feel like that. Telangana, they have no issue. Karnataka, it's not so serious. And again, you come to Andhra. Maybe if you're going to even in Northeast, it's not serious, but they have a lot of wildlife there. Why is it special to Kerala?
Sir, I have shown one table regarding the mitigation measures taken by Himachal Pradesh, Bihar, Uttarakhand, etc. All the states have the issue, and they have taken measures or culling the animal and killing the animal who are attacking the people, and several states, and some of the states are preparing proposals to cull the animal. Cull means kill the animal who is.
But wildlife is a central subject.
No, it is in the concurrent list. State also have the right to make laws, and in some cases they have to get the permission of central government, and so they are contacting with the government. But in the as it is in the concurrent list, state government has the right to enact some policies, and government is, in the case of Kerala, that at present the government of Kerala is not in a position to take such a firm decision on controlling the wild human-animal conflict, but it is an urgent need, and it will otherwise it will affect the wildlife population as well as the people. People will react violently because they have to live. Thanks, sir.
I think that maybe questions are over, and participants also disappeared. So I think better to wind up.
No, sir, excuse me. There is one more participant from Peru. He wishes to present in this conference. So Dr. Saurabh is online. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll get back, sir. And ma'am.
Okay.
So sorry for the interruption. There is a participant from Peru who would like to present in this conference. So Dr. Saurabh is sending the link to him, and soon he would join us. So requesting the chair and the co-chair to have little patience until he joins the session.
So other participants have left?
Yeah, I think just one participant is there. The rest of them have left. I don't know why. In spite of me telling that the questions have been posted.
Vivek Singh is there.
Who is there?
Vivek Singh.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm here.
Yeah, Vivek Singh is there. Anju is.
Sabu sir has no questions for Vivek Singh.
Things are almost clear.
By the end of the session, we will have a photograph.
Anyway, I have a question for Vivek. It's not a question, rather because we have time to wait. I thought I'll just pose a question because you have narrated your progress of your work. So I think, is it your PhD work?
Yeah, ma'am. This is like part of one of my chapters in my PhD.
Okay, what's your broader hypothesis?
So the broad area is like the title is the role of caste networks in business, a comparative study of Vaishyas and Dalits in Delhi.
Oh, so you're looking into a particular business.
I'm not particularly a few areas and also seeing the broad trend according to the economic census data. Like we see there is a lot of sectoral variation in the entry of Dalits. So overrepresentation in footwear, leather, sanitation, etc. But underrepresentation in jewelry, food and other such sectors. So because so I've tried to trace that and also bring in direct experiences of both Vaishya communities and Dalit communities in the who are in business, and the caste associations role in facilitating business for these communities. So that is my broader work, in which I am also looking at one section is about the policy on for the Dalit community, which has come up after the formation of Dicky. So that was the context. Yeah.
Good. Carry on. All the best for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think we have the speaker, the presenter online.
Yeah, he has come. Hello, sir. Am I audible to you? I think you need to unmute your mic. Can you please unmute? Dr. Freddy? Please unmute, sir. Yeah.
Dr. Freddy. Dr.
¿Cómo
Freddy.
está?
Yes, yes.
Buenos días, buenos días.
Dr. Freddy,
buenos días.
good morning, everybody, everyone.
Very good morning, sir.
Dr. Mira, please, you can do the compare the link the compare you PPT deploying, please. Puede compartir.
You can share the PPT with us.
Yes, please. The PPT and the share.
Yeah. So we have our chair, Dr. Uma Maheshwari. She is the professor and head from University of Madras. And co-chair, Dr. Sabu Thomas. He's from University of Calicut.
Ok. Muy bien, Juan. Sí, sería correcto. Entonces, bajo la anuencia de esta presentación,
Yeah, the
la Universidad
introduction.
Intercultural
University.
Fabiola Salazar Guía presenta sus saludos a esta magna asamblea desde Amazonas, Perú.
The greeting for Amazonian Peru is very, very important. The event academic IPARN, the country of India, the University Nacional Intercultural Fabiola Salazar Guía de Bagua is Amazonian University. Camacho.
El tema fundamental es el manejo de la epistemología, de la gestión empresarial,
the management, the
experiencia social universitaria.
Social University.
¿Por qué? Porque ocurre lo siguiente. En América Latina y el Caribe, continuamos en un sistema de países emergentes.
They consider the country, emerging country, the emerging country.
Diría yo, subdesarrollado.
I say,
porque hay un tema de comercialización, gestión y organización
commercial products
que no nos deja desarrollar.
Back now and then
La uni-
back don't growing and development product in American Latin.
La universidad por su cuenta,
The
la
university,
empresa por su cuenta
the
y el
management,
Estado
the
por su cuenta.
enterprise, the order on the point.
Entonces, no existe una organización, una cultura empresarial emprendedora
Never,
entre el Estado, la universidad
never
y
the
la
state,
empresa.
university, the culture apprenticeship.
Las formas de organización empresarial no tienen un sentido
The organization and the
de
apprenticeship
cooperación.
and cooperation never heard.
Se han olvidado del cooperativismo. Se han
Forget
olvidado de la creación de una empresa.
the foreign, the
Se han
creative
olvidado
entrepreneurship,
de el manejo
the
de la
forget
innovación y generación
the management, the
empresarial
generation,
de la globalización.
the
El valor
globalization,
social económico de la empresa está perdido.
and the loss in the thinking, the entrepreneurship is losing.
América Latina y el Caribe solo venden recursos naturales. América Latina y el Caribe solo vende recursos naturales. No le da
They
valor
found
agregado.
the resource not Amazonian.
El desarrollo de una
The
cultura empresarial de
only
éxito, el
resource
desarrollo de una cultura
natural
empresarial de éxito está limitado. Las culturas indígenas están totalmente desapercibidas por un modelo de cooperativas. Entonces,
original the Amazonian, they never the cooperative demise.
esa forma empresarial, si bien es cierta, es ortodoxa de un capitalismo ortodoxo. Entonces,
The capital orthodox, but now the people original for development.
Sociedades anónimas, sociedades en comanditas,
societies,
sociedades tradicionales,
different societies,
como en la época en que Inglaterra dominó a la India.
When the United Kingdom, they dominate on the Indian.
Y hoy en día el sistema religioso y cooperativo de la India ha demostrado que su poder de organización es fabuloso para el mundo.
The famous organization in the India, the cooperative.
Es que la ley de promoción de micro y pequeñas empresas,
la promotion, the entrepreneurship, the big entrepreneurship,
está demostrando que tiene un gran valor agregado desde sus artesanías,
the handicraft,
hasta modelos de investigación cooperativo.
The model, the researching cooperative management model.
Ese modelo de investigación cooperativo articulado nos gustaría que podamos trabajar entre la India y Perú.
Both the University of India, both university from Peru, Amazonian.
Para poder establecer caracterización y mejorar las sociedades de capital,
the social capital,
y mejorar las condiciones de vida de los que realmente necesitan, las sociedades más necesitadas.
The necessity, the people, the need of people.
Ahora bien, las ventajas que podemos obtener. Hay muchos grupos de interés
So a
pueden
lot
introducir
group
innovaciones,
interest
sobre todo innovaciones
on
artesanales que
innovation, the
podemos tener,
handicraft,
tal como es la India.
so as the
Aumentar
Indian,
la motivación
the
espiritual,
elevator, the motivation,
la disminución de capital nominal
the
podría
capital,
ser un criterio de insolvencia, pero no lo es.
body credit, the insolvents.
Ahora, el carácter
Now,
democrático para la toma de
democratic
decisiones es
charter
muy importante.
is the
El
important,
acceso al capital externo
the
la
access
podemos
the
manejar
external
conjuntamente
capital,
con ciertos criterios para fortalecer recursos propios.
the creative,
Los
the
recursos propios
enforcement, the capital human,
con el valor agregado a cada uno de nuestros productos.
agreeing, the product, the
Tenemos
result product,
plátano, tenemos cacao,
the
tenemos
cacao,
yuca, tenemos
mandioca,
minerales,
the
tenemos
mineral,
minerales
gold, titanio,
y tranquilamente podemos hacer una industria, una
the heavy
agroindustria,
industry,
fortalecer la
the
Amazonía,
enforcement,
¿no? Con energía limpia,
the
saludable
clean energy
para el resto del mundo.
around the
Entonces,
rest around the world.
hay ventajas.
There
Ahora,
are the
evidentemente
advantages.
también pueden haber algunas desventajas, pueden haber
When the
algunas
kind is the best
desventajas,
times,
sobre todo la dificultad de generar cooperativas
difficulty general,
por el sistema ortodoxo tradicional.
society, orthodox, traditional, economic,
El sistema económico y el poder que siempre existe
power, the elite, the
de
management, the
los grupos
economic,
de poder,
the group, the
¿no?
power,
Grupos de poder, las sociedades de información que
the
mantienen
society,
todavía los
information,
regímenes
committee,
y
the technology,
la comunicación. Pero felizmente tenemos
communication,
el Internet, que puede
the
romper
communication, yeah, the
barreras, ¿no?
internet,
Mejorar las bases democráticas que lo puede
the
hacer la
the
universidad.
basic democratic, the polite, the
Por eso
economic,
los convenios internacionales
the cooperation, the
estamos-
agreement, international,
necesitamos los convenios de todas las universidades,
like
de la
needing
India,
the cooperation, the
and
all
Perú,
university, the coming from
y
Peru,
estamos para ver cada vez hermanarnos porque
yeah,
somos una sociedad muy
brotherhood, the
aparecidas a
university, the
ustedes.
Peru, university to India.
Creo que eso del
I
sistema
think so.
cooperativo y
The
el sistema
cooperative,
religioso que ustedes tienen
the
puede
society,
mejorar la
the
estabilidad social
the back, the
de
stabilization,
la gerencia social
the
en
the
Perú,
social management,
que puede ser el espejo
the what I
muy
said, the
bonito
mirror,
del desarrollo de la
the
India en el mundo.
development, the element of the one world.
Yo creo que muchísimas
think,
gracias por este momento.
Thank you very much
Y,
for
estoy, si es
presentation.
que hay alguna pregunta.
When you are asked any question for Dr. Camacho. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Freddy. And thank you, Juan Antonio, for your, Mr. Juan Antonio, for the wonderful translation
Dr. Mira,
also.
hello, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I think about coming to Peru. Dr. Freddy is coming to Peru, all the
Yeah.
university.
Yes, yes, you should be calling, inviting us, and we are always ready to come.
Okay,
It's
Dr.
so
Camacho
nice
dice
that
que
you
quieren venir
remember.
a Perú, ellos de la universidad.
Okay.
Hello, sir. It's so nice that you remember me so well, sir.
Ah, yes, te recuerdo, Dr. Camacho.
Yes. Okay. So anyone has got questions? Can we just click a picture? It should be nice.
Doctora Mira, Doctor Anju, Doctor Sabu, Doctor Sadia, Doctor Ikaxin.
Ready.
Can I have the cameras on so that we can click a picture? We will take a picture. Dr. Anju? Yeah, thank you. The others also, the non-participants, please open your camera. Let us, Ms. Reena Kumari, we're all also a part of the conference. So it's nice to see you all here again.
Thank you, Dr. Mira.
Okay.
Oh, Dr. Reena Kumari, hello, how are you, Dr. Anju? Thank you. Dr. Freddy, ¿quieren conversar con usted? Haga la
Okay.
invitación para Perú.
So I'm going to click the picture. So say cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Haz
here
una
we
foto,
are, I'm
Dr.
clicking.
Freddy.
Estamos
Thank you so much.
estamos a tus órdenes y
Thank you.
esperamos
Dr.
estar muy
Camacho said
pronto.
you a cooperation agreement. We coming to visit to Peru and the investigation, both the researching. Dr.
Why
Camacho
not?
said,
Why not, sir? We would be very fortunate to come there.
bye.
Invite us and we're all there.
Hello.
Esperamos estar muy pronto en el río Ganges.
Dr. Freddy said visit River Ganges.
Okay. Okay. You can come.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
See you.
Okay. So we had a quick presentation from Peru also. So that was very nice. So, sir, now over to you, Sabusa, for the closing remarks. After which I'll give a thank you note in the end. Sabusa?
Actually, I am very good evening and good morning to other people in other part of the globe. So we are at the end of the 5-day international conference, and this conference was a historical event. We had a lot of discussion on different aspects of recent trends in public policy and public administration, and many presentations. They have opened up a new so we have a lot of policy kind of thing, and I feel that this seminar will be access available to the general public. So Sabri has already mentioned that we will be going to publish sessions. So we have the organizers.
Sir, I think there is a technical glitch at your end. Your voice is not audible, sir.
Yeah, I have some connectivity issues, so I think that I'll be quickly finding the auto lines. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for that.
No problem, sir. It happens. Okay. So thank you all. I extremely thank our chair, Dr. Roma Maheshwari, a professor and head from the Department of Public Administration, University of Madras, and our co-chair, Dr. Professor Sabu Thomas from University of Calicut. It's so nice to have both of you. I can say that you are all the stalwarts who have actually guided us through in the process of this particular discipline of public administration. So we owe a lot to you both. And today's sessions also, you had given us a lot of inputs. I think the participants would also agree with me where they can refine, and a lot of thought process was shared. Thank you so much for that, man. I also thank the entire team of the participants. It is so nice to see Ms. Reena Kumari always on the screen, attending all the conferences, the sessions. That means a lot for us because that's a kind of motivation you are giving us for the conduct of the conference. Thank you, Ms. Reena. And also to all the other participants, Dr. Anju, Dr. Freddy, Mr. Vivek Singh, and all the other participants who have been here. You have actually, this is the kind of platform where we can share the knowledge. So you have brought in, I can see different topics. That is from Dr. Anju, the man-animal conflict. Mr. Vivek Singh has brought in about how the business in amidst the Dalits, how it is, that is actually important for a progressive economy. So that was a very nice, neat presentation that you had given. And also from the others on the educational revolution, because without this digital revolution, I think we would not have been able to conduct this conference also. All of us are in different places, different states, but then this is the way that we can interact. So next time we may come to your place, or you may be here and you will recognize us very soon too. And so thank you once again. And I also thank all the organizers. Special mention to Dr. Saurabh. I also thank Dr. Manoj Dikshit, Dr. Prakash Chand, and all the other eminent professors who have been cooperative and who are the source of support and encouragement for us in completing this conference successful. And yet another happy news that which I want to share is we will continue with this conference the next year, in the month of February, with a different kind of an administrative approach and a policy research also. So thank you all. Once again, thank you to the chair and the co-chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you. See you all.
Okay.
Thank you.